Hi, my name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses, and I'm the founder of the blog The Black Homeschool, as well as two other blogs, successfulblackwoman.com and healthyblackwoman.com. Today, I just had to jump on here and talk about a story that I just saw. In fact, it was actually a video that I just saw. The story is up at theblackhomeschool.com, and it's about a white teacher who viciously attacks a black student, and the student in the video, you can see them shocked and surprised why the teacher is actually hitting her. The teacher literally hits the child repeatedly, and then after, when the child asks the question, she mimics the child and makes fun of her. Now, I am, again, like I said, the founder of the blog, theblackhomeschool.com, which is a blog that I founded a few years ago when I wanted to really get information about homeschooling black children, and I couldn't find it on the web. I wanted to get news and updates and resources, and I just couldn't find it on the web. So I founded the blog, and I started gathering the information myself, and it's been going strong since then. I have also been homeschooling my own children for the last 3 years. It's been an amazing journey. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, but I'm doing it because I believe that that's what's required at this point in time, and based on the circumstances leading up to the time when I decided, or when my husband and I decided, that that's what we needed to do. I do have to say I was the one more strongly leaning towards it. I was the one who really was insisting on it. And just quickly to tell you a little bit about our story, I had two kids. One was in a preschool program and one was in elementary school. My elementary school baby was in the first grade, and again, like I said, my other one, a boy, was in preschool. And what happened was, my older one was having a lot of problems in school, which was very surprising because she was very bright. Because her father and I did a lot of work with her at home to supplement what she was doing in school. But we're getting all these reports about her progress and how she was functioning in school that were just not what we knew about her. And the other issue with my daughter was that she was the only black kid in her class, in her grade, and maybe one of three or four kids in a school full of white kids in a white neighborhood. And that experience, I've since learned, is just detrimental to your kids. It's detrimental to their self-esteem. It's detrimental to their self-image, and also they get treated differently, or at least my daughter did, and that's the report I'm getting from a lot of parents who have since decided to homeschool their kids, that when you put your kid in a school where nobody looks like them, they do tend to be treated differently. There's a lot that I could share about my daughter's experience at a school that was generally all white, but that's another story for another day, and I have shared it before, on this channel and on in other places. But back to the topic at hand, I think it's time for black parents to seriously think about homeschooling. And the reason why I can sit here and say that is just 5 years ago, this was not the life that I thought I would be living. I now have my own business, which is how I make money, and I homeschool my kids. 5 years ago, I was a full-time working woman. I was a college professor. It was my dream job. I loved it. I loved the students, and I didn't think I would ever. I didn't think that would be a job that I would ever walk away from, because from the time that I was young, that's what I really wanted to do. But I felt compelled to to switch what I was doing, or change up what I was doing, because my kids were really having issues that I felt like I needed to be on top of. Like I said, my daughter, who was in the first grade, was having issues at school. She was being bullied, she was being treated differently, and even the teacher was bullying her, which made it difficult to address the issues. The principal met with us, the superintendent met with us. They were somewhat sympathetic, but I could tell that they did not have the understanding and the competence, the cultural competence, to understand what the problem was and how to solve it and how to begin to change things. And personally, I didn't want my child to be the one, to be the example, and to be the guinea pig that they used to change their system. Although I still believe that their systems need to change, I wasn't willing to put my child through that process and let her be the guinea pig that they used as they may or may not have successfully made the changes that they needed to make. And then the second and even more troubling thing was my son was in a preschool, and again, he was the only black kid in his class. And in that preschool, I think there was one other kid who may have been black or biracial, I'm not sure. But same issues. Those were the only two kids that were singled out. And the thing about my kids is I know them well because I interact with them and I engage them a lot. And the younger one, my son, is the one who's a little more easygoing. He's a little more gentle. He's a little less outspoken than his older sister. But what they were telling me at his preschool is that he was being aggressive. He was showing aggression. And this is a child who just does not do that. So the first thing that came out of my mouth was, what are you doing to him? What's happening to him? What's going on in that environment that's causing a child who's usually easygoing to become aggressive? That's going from one end of the spectrum to another. Now, this was not a mother who was acting defensive and saying, oh no, not my baby, my baby's perfect. No, I know my kids. And this was really, really directly contradicting what I knew about my kids. So I decided that it was time to just remove my kids and homeschool them. Again, it was a tough decision. I've always said, again, like I said, I was a college professor. I've always said that I had no desire to teach at the elementary school level or the high school level. I just believe that God gives us many, many gifts and talents, and I thought that that was not one of mine. But one of the things that I had to really think about was, if I am not prepared to make the changes that I need to make so that my kids can have the best education that they can have, why would I expect a stranger, a teacher, a white woman in the suburbs, in the Boston suburbs, to care more about my kids' education than I did? And that was a tough question to ask myself. And the truth is, then I decided that I was just going to make that change. For me, it was a little easier than it may be for other people because first of all, I do have an education background, even though it's not for young kids. But I don't believe that you need an education background to be your full-time teacher for your kids. You can do it. Any parent can do it. We're equipped. We all who are mothers become mothers without knowing how to do it, and we just figure it out because that's what we do. We're mothers, and I believe the same thing about educating our children. I cannot stand seeing these videos of children being dragged in classrooms, and it's always the black kids being beaten, being insulted, being treated badly, and being miseducated because they leave out important things about black history and African history and who those kids are and where they come from and who they should show up as in society. That is distorted. They're affecting their self-esteem, they're affecting their image, and I think that that's not an environment that I'm willing to put my kids in. And I do realize that it may be hard for parents to even conceive of the idea of them homeschooling their kids, and I do accept and acknowledge that maybe not every parent can do it, but I would urge any parent who can even remotely do it to consider doing it, even if it's supplemental in the beginning and maybe transition later. But we have got to stop throwing our kids into these situations where they're being abused, and the only reason we can say that we're doing it is because we need somebody to babysit them while we work jobs where we're probably being treated badly anyway. So really all I'm saying in this video is take a look at the video. Go to theblackhomeschool.com and take a look at the video of the teacher beating the kid, and just think that could be your kid. I'm not saying every white teacher attacks or hates or mistreats black kids, but it's happening so much more than is acceptable to me or to anyone. In fact, just happening once is not acceptable. But ever since I started my blog, theblackhomeschool.com, and a lot of people know me as a homeschooler. You will not believe the number of parents that have reached out to me and they say, how does this homeschooling thing work? And the stories are mostly the same. The children are in a school where they're being abused, they're being miseducated, and they're being treated differently because they are different. So I would urge parents to just please think about it. You may not end up doing it. It may not be for you. And in the worst case scenario, if you take your kids out of school and you homeschool it and you just realize it's not working or it's not for you or you just can't do it, you can always put them back in school. And one last thing that I can say is, well, what about when people ask, well, what about, how much they're missing if they're not in school? Do your research. You will find that most homeschoolers most homeschoolers do better as homeschoolers than they did when they were in school. Again, I urge you to do your research, consider homeschooling. But this attack on our kids has got to stop, and us as parents have to insist that it stops. And one of the ways that we can make sure it doesn't happen is by taking our kids' education into our own hands. And again, I'll just tell you again, my name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses. I am the founder of the blackhomeschool.com, and I am a homeschooling mom, a work at home mom, a work at home wife. And I encourage you to also check out my course. That it's a short course. It doesn't cost much. It's at the Black Business School. You can check it out at the link. The link is theblackhomeschoolguide.com, and you can check it out. Take the course. I believe it's only $39 or $49, depending on if there's a discount running. Check out the course. It's a series of lectures and information and resources for parents who want to transition their kids from the public school system or the private school system to homeschooling. You can find me on both Twitter at Noma Unlimited, and you can find me on Facebook with my full name, Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses. Follow me, and you can inbox me if you have any questions about taking the course at the Black Business School. Again, thanks for watching. My name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with theblackhomeschool.com. Take care.